One of the things that's interesting to me about this election, one of the great unknowns, is how the Hispanic and black vote is going to go. And I just was on Breitbart just a few minutes ago, and the latest Rasmussen, the latest Rasmussen poll, which came out today, shows that Trump has 31% of the black vote, of likely voters, going into this election. Now, that I'm not even sure I believe that, but even if he only has half of that, which would be around 15 to 16%, that would be enough to win this thing going away. And
Yeah,
that
yeah,
has
you're
to
right.
have the Democrats and the left in a complete panic state.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. And when you listen to a lot of the African American Republicans that are out there, they're absolutely adamant that Trump is going to double his numbers from last time or even more. And in the Hispanic area, he's really moving up.
Right.
So, I don't know that the Democrats believe it. I think they believe they own these groups, and they're never going to bail on them. They're never going to leave the Democrat plantation. But I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure.
Right.
I think Trump's done a really good job, and when you start seeing hardcore rappers and people like that are changing their minds.
Right.
Kind of interesting.
And it bodes optimism for the future of the Republican Party, because a lot of the support that Trump's getting from both communities are from the younger generation. It's not the older folks that are supporting Trump. So if the Republicans, can maintain an outreach to that community, I mean, I think this opportunity's been there for over a decade or more. The Bush, McCain, Romney campaigns never bothered to try to reach out to the black community. And of course, I guess maybe they really didn't need to at that point, because they had so much overwhelming support among the whites and the evangelicals that they didn't need to. But now Trump has really reached out to them, and I'm hoping Republicans that come after him will try to do the same thing. And I think you've got, of course, you got Kanye West, you got Ice Cube, 50 Cent.
Diamond and Silk, and and there's even a radio. Well, Leo Terrell, he completely flipped from being a hardcore Democrat to being a solid Trumper. He's out on the trail for him.
Wow.
But yeah, I completely agree with you. I think they're seeing. I think they're seeing a stark difference. And the good thing about Donald Trump is that he makes them feel like they matter.
Right.
Where the Democrats don't. The Democrats take them for granted. They just keep them where they are. They give them lip service, promise them everything, and then deliver nothing. Even Obama, who was supposed to be the savior, he did nothing for his own people. Nothing. And
Right.
yet Donald Trump, he comes out and does something. He actually makes a difference and talks to these people, and he lets them know, I care about you, talk to me. I think that makes a huge difference, because they have been ignored. They have been dismissed. Because, well, hey, the Democrats need them to be dedicated Democrat voters. They don't want them out of the position they're in. Why would they? They turn Republican when they get out.
Right, yeah. And we left out Candace Owen. I can't leave her out.
Yeah,
She was the one that
Candace
really
Owen.
started this. And the arrogance of some of those on the left. I'm reading, this is from last week. You probably saw this on Breitbart. Chelsea Handler had some choice words for 50 Cent. Apparently that was her ex-boyfriend. And she said, quote, this is off Twitter, I had to remind him that he was a black person, so he can't vote for Donald Trump. if he denounces Trump, I might be willing to go for another spin, if you know what I'm talking about. Well, first of all, I didn't realize that 50 Cent and Chelsea Handler had ever been on Wheel of Fortune and spun that wheel before. I mean, that's what she's talking about, right?
Yeah, and I'll tell you, his response to that was kind of interesting because you can read between the lines on that one where he was going, oh yeah, absolutely not. I am not voting for Donald Trump now. That is sarcasm.
Right.
It's total sarcasm because, I mean, it's ridiculous. And you're right. The arrogance of these people is just staggering. You can't even describe it.
Well, and just the bigotry there, because it goes along with what Biden said a couple of months ago. If you don't vote for me, you ain't black.
Yeah,
and this is just the same thing. And these
it.
people talk about their white privilege, yet they are white privilege. They demonstrate it with tweets like that.
Yeah, and it's kind of, if you really think about what she said, it's very, very racist because she's basically saying, you know what, if you don't do what I tell you to do as a black man, then I'm going to withhold all these privileges from you.
Mm.
I mean, to say that to somebody, that's like holding it over his head that if you don't do this, I won't do this.
Right.
I mean, it's just, I don't know. I don't even know anymore.
Well, it's the racism of Hollywood, of the leftist Hollywood. I got to say it that way, because not everybody in Hollywood's racist, but the radical left certainly is. And they pretty much control Hollywood now. I mean, how often do you see black people win awards in Hollywood? Very few and far between.
Yeah, and the thing about that is that now they have, you should see these emails I get from the unions and from the academy, and all these organizations are basically saying, well, now we have to change our policies and we have to give awards and all of these benefits to the minorities. We have to do that now. It's like, what? And the African Americans, the blacks in Hollywood, are saying, what are you talking about? We want to earn, if we win an Academy Award, we want to earn it just like everybody else. Don't just give it to us because we're black.
Right.
I mean, and yet they are so condescending when you get these emails saying there are going to be policy changes and we're going to bring in many more minorities because we feel that we need to do that for them. No, they earn it. They want to earn it.
Right.
And that's so condescending. I get those all the time, and it just makes me sick.
Wow.